another one. People still tuned
morning.
in. Good morning. Good morning. Joined today by the most amazing Fat Tony.
Only amazing, is that all I'm getting?
No, you're getting it. I love Fat Tony t-shirt.
So we're going to be looking about today. One of the topics that we're pointing out is the after party, and we want to address two different angles to this. Firstly, panic for the after party when you let's say your previous life and the excess that you lived to, but then also panic for the after party and where you are now, what that looks like. I want to kick things off straight away because one of the things I really want to pick up on was psychosis. Hearing you talk about the alcohol and substance fueled psychosis, because I don't think a lot of people.
It's another thing that's too like, oh my God, but people don't understand it, so then they're scared of it, they don't talk about it.
Also, when you're in it, you actually, when you're in it, and there's been so many periods in my life where I had such severe psychosis in the sense of I'd be at home and I'd think there were 20 other people in my house and I'd be having a party with them and dancing and talking to them and eating at the table. And my partner would come in and go, you do not, these people aren't here. And I'd be like, what are you on about? They're all in the other room. And I actually believed that they were there. And then there was this other time where I was in Liverpool Street Station, and I don't know how I got there, and I was running around the station trying to find my friends, and I kept seeing them, and then they would morph into the walls, and then they'd be in cars, and they would morph into the seat, and it would be a seat belt, and I was outside trying to get it. It went on for about 6 or 7 hours, and then the police found me and took me to my home address, not to the hospital where I should have gone. They took me to my home address because they thought I was just high on some hallucinogenic drug. But it was beyond that. It gets to a stage where you do so many drugs and so much alcohol that you always say the next morning after, I'm sure someone spiked me. I'm sure someone, I must have been spiked because I never go like that. And that's always what people always, I never go like that. I do loads of drugs, I never get to that point. I didn't really do much last night. But you know what it is when the brain has had enough, it shuts down. But it shuts down, and those certain areas of your brain, you get lost, and they took me home, and I was in my room having this party, and then we had this, the flat was all structured out of scaffolding poles. The bed was up really high, and I don't remember jumping out of bed thinking, oh my God, I've got to be at work. And I landed and knocked myself out, and then I was taken to hospital, and I was in hospital for about a week and a half because I was. Did they look at the psychosis then? So when you're there, they basically they kind of looked at it as I'd taken too many drugs.
Can I just say for anyone that's watching this that doesn't know what psychosis is, because there may well be, the simplest way to describe it is an altered state of reality. Usually, you'd have delusions, hallucinations, and thought disorders, and when those three go together, what you've just expressed then is 100% your reality. It's happening. There's no blurred line. That is your life, and that's what's classed as psychosis. Bonnie's tagging the cat. No, the cameraman's getting done by the cat. But for those watching, that's what psychosis is, and it's scary. This
can happen even without.
Oh, completely.
I mean, 100%.
The autism and the anxiety thing I've had, it left. That's what happened. And it's horrific, and people are so scared to talk about it, and that's the ultimate in being process.
I mean, I think that
it's like, the
first stages of it is, it's a really simple way of describing it is if someone takes too much cocaine and they think there's someone outside their letterbox and they're looking through the crack in the curtain. That's kind of like first stages, that's on a normal day. That's what it does to you on a normal day without the cocaine. You think that there's people in your flat. You think people are outside the window. You're scared to leave your house. And that's a really good way of describing it, because a lot of people get they call it prang on when they take cocaine. But I've been in situations like that when I've had no drugs. No drugs whatsoever, and it just comes on me.
And what does that look like for you now? Is that something that you still have to kind of be dipping out of, or how did you how do you turn that kind of thing around? Because
for me, it's been a journey of recovery.
I'm sorry, I need to play with something, and I've not got my little fluff thing.
I know, you're good.
When we stop taking drugs and we go into recovery, and we make that change, that positive change for life. recovery isn't only about putting down drinks and drugs. Recovery is about working on yourself in every area. So the first couple of years you work on the drink and the drugs, you know, that's a really big issue. But the further you go on in recovery, it's more that you look at yourself. And I work a 12-step program. So within that 12 steps, there's 1, 2, and 3 are like, you know, the realization of, okay, I can't do drugs.
Yeah.
I need to find something greater than me. I need to find a higher power. It's about a spiritual program in the sense of realizing that this isn't real.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah.
And it's about how you can go from this to being in this. Yeah. And that's
not easy either.
No, it's not
if I'm
easy.
honest, I don't want to come out of it sometimes because I don't like this. I'm actually looking at this paper. I do not like this, but I just mean it's almost like a come down. Even if you're not doing any drugs, it feels like a come down when you come out of that, because the reality is not what you want it to be.
No, I think it's about positivity in so many respects. You know, if you wake, I mean, I can wake up in the morning and I always think of two things. Today's a really good day to fuck up my life.
Yeah.
And today's a really good day to fucking destroy everything.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the first thought. But as long as you don't act on that first thought, it's the second and the third that changes. So what I do is I will do affirmation. Yeah. Thoughts will come into my head and I just think, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
If I allow those thoughts to stay with me, I'm completely gone.
I think this is one of the biggest points, is that, like you just said, you have to do that, and you have to take control of them thoughts in the sense of saying, right, what outcome do I want with these thoughts? And like you just said, you're saying it to yourself and you're stopping that. Yeah. But the problem is getting that command, and that's self-discipline, which is what we said last night. This thing about like self-love. Self-love to me is self-discipline, because that is fucking hard to do. That's the ultimate in self-love.
But you know, the way to do it is by doing really simple changes in your house.
Yeah.
By putting post-it notes.
Yeah.
Simple post-it notes with, you are worth it.
Yeah.
You are beautiful. Yeah. I am, you know, all around the house. Yeah. You know, today I will live. Yeah. All in just different areas by the bathroom, above the toilet where you're going to have your first piss in the morning. All around the house, on the fridge. But the important thing is to change them. Not leave them there. Okay, because what happens is when you walk around your house, your mind will see those things and no longer notice them.
Yeah, it loses its appeal.
You don't notice it anymore. Do you know what I mean? So it's like literally, it's about change. It's about making changes. Yeah. So if you keep changing those affirmations, you're going to have new affirmations.
Yeah, and you're just feeding in all the good stuff.
The thought process into writing those affirmations is changing itself. Should be thinking, okay, I did that yesterday. I'm going to write this one today for tomorrow. And the power from the brain to the pen, it's such an incredible thing. If you're doing this, you can watch porn, you can watch TV, you can eat your dinner while typing it, and there's no connection
though, isn't there?
So writing is like the thought process, and it's the thought process that changes. So by sitting there thinking, okay, because what I do when I go, like I sponsor people, and I take.
You sponsor?
Yeah, I sponsor about 8 or 9 people at the moment. And each time I get someone new comes along, I do them on a temporary basis for 30 days just to see that they really want it. Yeah. Because it's very time consuming to give your time to one person. Yeah. But at the same time, the rewards from giving that time to someone is unprecedented. You know, just seeing someone get the sparkle back in their eyes and getting a little bit of self-belief is, because, you know, it goes from hope goes to belief, and it's amazing. It really is. You know,
do you experience many people with dual diagnosis who've admitted? So, and how do you find it? Because that's one of the most debilitating services in the UK. Certainly, they fall in this massive void.
Well, I think what's going on today is with especially within that gay community and other communities, the drugs that people are taking today aren't cocaine. They're not heroin. And I'm not trying to say cocaine and heroin are good drugs, but you know what? They're kind of semi-organic. By the time people get them, they're they're semi-organic. Do you know what I mean? But the drugs today are crystal meth and G. It's all toxic shit that they're putting in their bodies, and the psychosis that comes from that taking of those drugs is unreal. Yeah. So when these kids come to me and they're like, the majority. They come in with like, oh, I've got a sex and drug problem, and then you talk to them, and the next minute, you know, someone's tapping their phone. Yeah. You know, they all their friends turn out to be paedophiles. It's this psychosis, and it's the drugs, and it's you know, but you're seeing it in such young kids now, like in 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds. So it's really hard. So when they come to me, I deal with straight away. I deal with the drug problem first.
That's your first
And yeah, always. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, I suggest that they go to detox. But when we go into a detox, I always make sure it's, if you say to someone you need to go to a psych ward, you know, you might as well set them on fire. Do you know what I mean? But if you do it, you say to them, okay, I think it's a really good place for you to go, just to get your brain leveled out, because this isn't real. And once you get them in there, then you can start the work. Because for me, I see, I know all the signs. I know how I've been through it. It's like that old thing. It takes one to know one. So as soon as you've been through that, the alarm bells ring.
So one of the things you said there, and I personally think this is really key, is the world of mental health before, and why this whole series is in place, is it's been really clinical. It's been what works for you will work for this person. But when it comes to addiction, with your 12-step and your sponsors, they've had it. I think the world of mental health is moving towards a lived experience approach. We're starting to say, well, actually, like you said, say go and see a psych ward, they'd rather set themselves on fire. The old clinical terminology that goes with it. But talking from a different perspective of, right, this is what we need to do. This are things that you can try. I've lived this experience. I know the signs. I know what I'm seeing now. That's where it's all changing. I think the world of mental health is going massively towards lived experience.
And I think also if you throw the word love in there as much as you can, because that's all we want. That's all we want as humans, is to be loved. To be held and to be loved.
Just in that state as well, not be loved when this happens, when this happens, when you stop doing that. Completely. And
if you can guide them with a loving hand and not a pointing finger. Because when you start pointing fingers at people and start judging them, then that makes them feel less than. Then they start suddenly, it makes their mental state in such an awful place.
And that actually makes people do it. And then they've got shame for doing it.
And I'm a helpless junkie. No one's going to want me. They're all judging me. I know I'm going to kill myself. That's how simple it is. I can go to bed, right? I'm 13 and a half years sober. But I can go to bed, right? And I would have a brown envelope through the letterbox that morning, and I would not have opened it because of old behaviours. I used to get mail delivered all the time and never open anything. And that's when I'm not in a well place, if I've had a bad day of eating loads of sugar, or I've been hanging around toxic people, because I become who I am with. This is thing, isn't it? Totally. And we'll get to that. So I will go to bed with a brown envelope, and I will wake up at 2 a.m. and I will lay there and I think, oh my God, that's the Inland Revenue. Oh my God, I'm going to prison. Oh my God, how will I ever pay it? And within 3 hours, that thought comes into bed. Why don't you kill yourself? And I'm 13 and a half years sober. I work a program. I have an amazing life. But those hours of 2 till 6 in the morning when I'm lying awake, I catastrophize in such a bad drama. My brain doesn't switch off. I have this thing called uncommon sense. Most people have common sense. Oh, you've got to do that in the morning, go to bed early, blah, 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 drink lots of water. Oh, you've got to get up at 6 a.m, you've got a flight. Stay up till 5 a.m. Totally, that's what I have, that uncommon sense. So my thinking is so off scale, so I will catastrophize it until I get to that point of thinking, you'd be better off dead. Everyone hates you anyway.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I feel that no matter how many psychiatrists I have, therapists, people going, ugh, you go to bed at night with your thoughts, and it's down to you. It's in you, and it doesn't leave you.
No,
no matter what help you've got.
But when I wake up in the morning, I've had this coping mechanism, which makes me sound mental anyway.
I'm gonna love that.
I will wake up and I shake my fucking head so vigorously, to shake out the thoughts. And it works.
Yeah, I stand my feet on the floor.
Exactly the same thing. And it's like tapping. It's like tapping. I am worth it. I am, therefore I am. All of that stuff. It's what it is. It's just about. It's literally. I shake it because it changes the neuropathy in my brain thoughts, and it's really simple.
No, but it works.
And I always say to my sponsees, I've got this. Shake your head really hard. They're like, oh, sharp.
Things like that work. It's a grounding. Because I flap around a lot. You said, I think it's awesome. But when I get excited, I am like,
I'm exactly the same.
I can't stop. Like yesterday, I was doing it. Wasn't I? But actually, after, I feel good.
I do the same.
Do you think you've these where you are now, and the thoughts around that you have, and the way that you are? Do you think this has come from your past experiences, do you think you'd be this person regardless? Or
I think I would be this person regardless, but I think what's past trauma and childhood trauma that I've carried through life kind of is like is one area. It's not, it doesn't define who I am, but it's definitely one area of who I am. And whether I go to that area, it's like having a really beautiful house and having a really amazing lounge, a really beautiful kitchen, a really shitty basement full of water, and a loft full of like fiberglass. You know, it's, if I want to be comfortable, I'll go to the basement full of water. If I want to be uncomfortable, I'll be in the really beautiful lounge. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So it depends on what part of the house I want to be in. And then if I'm in the lofts, I'm on my own. I'm in my head. So, and if I'm in the basement, I'm at the lowest point I can be. So being in the uncomfortable house, which is beautiful, is about realizing what you've got instead of what you haven't got, and actually being in it. And it takes time, but you know, that uncomfortableness goes away, because you know, I have safe places now that I call safe places. You know, if my mind goes off in the tangent, or I go into flow, because I go into flow really easily. So I can, I've always used humor as a shield. So if I will pick on one person in the room, Ian, make the joke about Ian, so that everybody else laughs with me, and then that way you don't know who I am. But you think that, oh, he's a funny guy. And then you don't have to see my insecurities. You don't have to see what's really going on. So the way I always talk about it is like lighting 6 little bonfires while there's a raging fire in the middle, because that would create the smoke. And I've always, that's been survival, and it's about not doing that today. It's about, okay, being honest. This is who I am. Take me or leave me. I don't need to make you laugh. I don't need to pick on Ian. I don't need to, do you know what I mean? This is what it is, and it's kind of, you know, it's about being okay with who you are, and it takes a long time to get there.
Every part of who you are.
Every part. I have a sordid past, and I'm very honest about my sordid past. My past is out there.
Do you know, I think that gives you power when you actually, because this is what I felt. When you find, when
no
you
one can
like,
blackmail me.
like sometimes I get paranoid with how. Well, look, this isn't normal.
It is
Class
normal.
is normal. And I can't keep still, and all I want to do is go and pick up Bonnie. And I tell people straight away, that's me getting it out there, like, oh, by the way, I might do this, I might do that, because I'm like, fuck it, you know what?
But we said this when we did the first episode in this series, and we were saying there's chances you might, you know, you are normal, you're perfectly normal, and this is the reason we do this, because people who don't fit a certain mould or a certain box are classed as not normal. And you're normal, I'm normal, we're all normal in our own unique individual ways, and until we start communicating that and saying this is normal, we said straight away, you want to get up halfway through a filming and get Bonnie, then go and do it, because that's your normal, and that's what we've got to be aware of.
Not doing that would be
exactly.
Do you know what I mean? You find, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this. That leads to more mental health.
Exactly.
You know, it's about the freedom of being who you are. Exactly. About being the freedom of who you are. And if those people around you don't like that, they're not your people. They're not your tribe. Go find your tribe. Let them go find their tribe. Do you know what I mean? You don't always,
it's about what you were saying about you do, Murph, I definitely do this, to who you hang around with, and who you surround yourself will literally be 100%. Your world, your life. That's it.
Totally. I can get really, you know, I'll text someone or ring someone. They don't return my call. Within 3 hours, my head, they hate me. They're all off having a good time without me, and all of that stuff. And you know what? It's not. You know, don't personalise this stuff. But you know what? That's where it goes. And I have, luckily, I'm like, you know, I'm very blessed that I work a 12-step program, because I've been given the tools to deal with that stuff. Because that stuff's never going to go away. It's how I deal with that stuff. It's about how I look at it, and I see it for what it is. I think, oh, Tony, you're a twat. What are you doing? Sometimes it takes an hour, 2 hours for it to kick in, and I think, what are you doing? Because I'm a really good reactor.
And then panicking and like, why are they not replying? And then checking their socials and all this stuff.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
One of the other things around though recovery, and this is something to touch on, is a lot of people who might be watching this who are addicts or just going into recovery can easily be led to believe that when you reach recovery, life's a bed of roses. And as you've just said then, it's not. It doesn't go away when you go 13 and a half years clean.
That's all I can say.
And this is the key thing, because people go on the journey, they'll start and think, no, hang on, I'm not right. But it's a constant battle.
But the sad thing about it is people think that recovery is a bed of roses, and when they come in and they realise life on life's terms is bloody hard.
Yeah.
Because I don't have, I've had a really bad day, give me a double scotch.
Exactly.
Oh, I've had a really bad day, I need a spliff. I've had a really bad day, give me anything. I don't have that. So when I'm having a bad day, I have to live in the bad day. And I have to learn about how to change those thought processes. Because if I wake up in a bad mood, that can stay with me all day. And I'll make sure, it's not about me being in a bad mood, I'll make sure all of you that are having a really bad day too. Because we take prisoners. And what it is, you know, when you come to the 12-step fellowship, you think, okay, you come in and they tell you, first of all, you're going to get a life beyond your wildest dreams, and you just think, oh, fuck. You know, but you know what? Today I have a life beyond my wildest dreams. I have freedom. I have self-respect. I have love for another person. I love myself today. There's so much stuff in my life that's unmaterialistic that makes me who I am. And, you know, when I say I have freedom, and, you know, my life is, I could never have dreamt of this 13 and a half years ago. I had nothing. I weighed 7 stone. I had no teeth. I was completely, so I would rock backwards and forwards, thinking that was normal.
Can we talk more about that? Because we wanted to go on recovery, but I think I know you've said before, that weight you were, and there was a moment, let's tell everyone about that moment in your life when you realised, fuck, you know, something's got to change, something's got to happen.
I think that, you know, people always call them rock bottoms, but I'd had a rock bottom about 12 years before. You know that. And I literally had that about 12 years before, and the rest of those 12 years were kind of survival. And then the last 3 years of my addiction, all I wanted to do was die. I thought every day about death. I thought every day about my own funeral. I thought about who was coming, who wasn't coming, and I talk about this all the time in most interviews. But because for me, that was the norm. That was normal for me to think that all I had to look forward to was dying. Because that's where I took it. 100%. My body had gone through so much. I couldn't go any further. They'll all be happy when I'm gone. You know, I had one person that loved me. Well, I had more than that. But, you know, in my head, there's only one person, and I can destroy him. And I know, you know, he's been really horrible to me this week, so I'll ruin his life by killing myself. And that's all I ever thought about every day. Didn't think about, we're going to go on holiday next week, or I'm going to go and buy these shoes today. Or none of that was it. My life was about death. The next stage for me was dying. And what happened was, one night I was in this place in King's Cross called The Cross, rocking backwards and forwards. And my partner at the time, James, came in, and he put his hand on my shoulder. And I remember seeing him come in, and I thought, what is he doing here? Because he'd been barred from every club.
He had?
Yeah.
Right.
I'd got him barred.
Oh, you got him barred?
He would come. He would come, and he would start fighting me. And he'd be like, go to the owners of the club and say, do you want to find him dead on your toilet floor? You need to stop employing him. And I'd be like, bar him, he's just here to ruin my fun. But what he was trying to do was save my life. But in my head, he was an obstacle. And that night he came, and I'd already been out for 3 days, and it was a Friday. And I was rocking backwards and forwards, and I saw him out the corner of my eye, and I thought, I don't have the strength for this. And he came over, and he put his hand on my shoulder. And instead of the usual, look at the state of you, where have you been? You know, you're a mess. He literally just said to me, what happened to you? And every time it makes me cry. This is 13 years I've been telling this story. But it makes me cry because it was that God-given moment that changed my life. It was, he shouldn't have been there.
That makes me
He shouldn't have been there. That wasn't a coincidence.
I've been with someone that definitely had trouble with that, and I ended up being pushed away and mentally abused because of it.
Of course.
And I mean, even now, I still feel like I see that person as the right one, and then my best friend, sadly, ended up with suicide. Exactly the same thing.
Hurt people hurt.
And it's.
You remember these moments, don't you? You remember these moments where, and you remember them for the rest of your life.
That's what gives me that drive today to help other people, because of the love of one person saved me. So with my partner, David, I've been with 8 years. You know, he's incredible. He's the most brilliant person in the world. But I still have this part of me that I suffer from imposter syndrome. The only area of my life that I don't suffer with that is recovery, because I live and breathe that. When I'm DJing, they're all going to hate me. All that stuff, that's why I suffer within the relationship. I don't deserve to. I don't deserve to be in this relationship. Blah blah blah, and I will destroy it internally. I will do the most stupidest of things because it comes on me, and I just think, oh my God, why am I doing this again? And then of course, what happens is, because I'm this pinnacle of recovery, I don't talk about it.
Does that get annoying?
Yeah, of course it does. Because sometimes
like me get annoying in ways that are sense. See, this is one of the things. I didn't want you here for that textbook recovery. I was more interested in your mindset.
Yeah, no, textbook recovery bullshit doesn't exist.
This is what I'm
anyone that has textbook recovery doesn't have recovery.
Well, anyone that follows the textbook anyway is well.
Exactly.
But it's it's your mindset is what I'm interested in, because I think that the way that you always turn it back on you. So, and you always make it out, not make it out, you show that actually in all the fucked up stuff, when you feel like you've got no control or choice, there is a choice, but you just got to hold hope to get to that point. And that is why I wanted you, because I know that is what it is. We don't think we've got any control, any power, but like you said, you go to bed with these thoughts and stuff like that, and you have to decide, am I going to fuck my life up today? Or am I going to just let it burn, sit with these feelings, because they're shit feelings.
100%.
And it's not easy, and that's why
I find
think it's amazing.
Simple things like process really helps the mental mind. So if I have these really mad thoughts, but when I'm in it, I'm really in it. It's like, that's it. The world's going to fall apart. How dare they? I've done for them. And there's been situations where I look back, I write that down, and 2 days later I go back to it and find it. And I think, what was that about? But you know what? That was so real at the time. Do you know what I mean? It was so real, and it was so destructive, and it kind of just like, and that's just someone at 13 and a half years is like hard work on themselves. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, and I think with them, do you keep them, or do you get that kind of thing where you want to get rid of them?
Oh, I get rid of them.
Yeah.
I have OCD. I can't have anything cluttering up the house. Yeah. The idea of having loads of Post-it notes is a really good idea. But someone with OCD plays fucking havoc. I'll get out of bed and I'll have to peel it off and put it somewhere else, because I can't go to bed if there's something out of place in my kitchen, in my bedroom, in the living room. Yeah. And my partner, David, is the most messiest person on the planet.
How out of place?
Oh, completely, isn't it? Yeah.
Honestly, everything has to be in its place. Everything. And Taylor, my dog, she brings in. She doesn't have one toy. She has about 4,000. Oh, wow. But all day long, she'll bring a different toy in. She never has the same toy. Who is she? She's a little establishable terrier, but she's 14. She's got a little Jack Russell in her, and she's the most amazing. She's the most magical thing that I've ever had in my life. That, when people say I've got a care dog, and of course you have. Yeah. All animals are care animals. Yeah. What we get from them is unconditional love, and it's support. And Taylor will bring these toys in all day long, and I just burst out laughing, because it's like, where did you get that from? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, she had these lips, these big teddy bear lips, and she knows. She knows.
She's your meditation.
She is, but the toys do my nutting. I'm like sitting there and I'm thinking, just leave it, leave it. And in the end, I'll get up and I'll pick them all up and take them in the other room.
Then she brings them all back.
Yeah, all day long.
My kids
all day long.
All the time. They're like, I could be doing homework. I'll be like, you don't need that pen.
I do it to David. David's cooking in the kitchen. I'll go in the kitchen and start putting things away. He's like, get out of the kitchen.
Even the pan, I'll be like, you're not going to cook that way.
Terrible. I'm terrible. But he'll make me the most amazing dinner, and I'll be sitting there and I'll be looking at the kitchen. Yeah. And he's like, I'll do it after dinner to stop. Yeah. But my mind won't stop. It goes on to that thing. And then what happens is I have these mini breakdowns in the day where I can't do this anymore with this mess.
Oh, yeah.
It's the worst, isn't it?
Tony, can I ask you a bit about music? So I wonder, how big's music? Obviously, as a DJ, and DJ to some of the biggest names, but music for you, how is that? Music's the best drug that I've ever taken. Yeah. Music's the only drug that chills me out. It transports me. If you immerse yourself in something that you love, you're surrounded by love. Yeah. And there's certain music in my life that I listen to
that take me to such an amazing, safe place.
You introduced me to the most amazing song we spoke about.
Ron Carroll.
So Ron Carroll,
Ron Carroll, The Way You Love Me.
Ron Carroll, The Way You Love Me. Anyone that hasn't downloaded it, download it now. I heard you talk about it on a show. I listened to it. I downloaded it, and it's racked up in my top 10 straight away. It's beautiful.
Because the words, this is the thing about music. It's like a time machine. It can transport you to places where with people who are no longer with us that come in that room, and that's not psychosis.
Yeah.
That when you close your eyes, you're in that place, and if you allow it to wrap you and you immerse you in that track, it's the most amazing, self-calming and self-loving place to be, because that's the power of music.
Definitely.
The power of music. It could be anything, just something that's you've got so sentimental attachment to it. That's what your safe place, and people don't realize it's as simple as that. By changing your thought process, by playing something really beautiful. What I always play when I'm in that place? George Michael.
You can't not,
Siri, play George Michael. And George Michael will come on in every room in the house. I really would. If you're having a bad day, don't reach for a drink. Put on your favourite tracks.
I mean, that's
simple as that. Shut your eyes.
Yeah, and feel it. Feel it. Don't just have it on and still be in your head.
We were saying about routines. So you have a routine that you do before.
And if anyone fucks around with it, or even just gets in the way of one bit, I just go all the way back to the thing. Or if I'm being honest, it's done my day and it's ruined my day.
But then I have a routine as well. Mine's all music. Mine's everything I do is music at any point. So my routine is I have to listen to like a playlist that I have to listen to a track to just zone, get in the place, get where I need to be. I mean, I'm exactly the same. Music for me is a time machine. Some people remember film like lines or scenes. For me, music, anything will take me back. It's the most powerful thing.
Well, my sponsor always tells me God only gives you what you can cope with. And when you're in that moment of what God's just giving you, you just think, how can this be okay? But what it does is when you come through it, and it makes you a stronger person, and you achieve so much through that pain. There's been situations in my life where I thought, how the hell have I got here?
Yeah, you must look
how have I got here? Been in prison cells, in recovery, just like most maddest things have happened during recovery. And then something really magical happens at the end of it. There's been situations where, as I say, I ended up in prison for something I didn't do. Someone accused me of something, and I was on remand, and I was just sitting there thinking, how did I get in? And I went straight to that place of killing myself again. How are you going to come back from this? I'll tell you how you're going to come back from this, by being positive thinking. And you didn't do wrong. So you hold your head up right. And you don't crumble in, and you don't give in to that. And I did that, and I come through it, and then what happened was I got put out on bail, like a £40,000 bail. And I was put down at my mum and dad's house in Dungeness. Have you ever been to Dungeness in England? It's actually stunning.
Okay.
It's on the Kent coast. It's the most arid piece of England there is. It's all pebbles for miles and miles and miles, flat, completely flat. And there's it's all these little fishing huts. It's the most magical place. And there's a nuclear power station. And Derek Jarman's got a house there, and he built this house there called Prospect Cottage where he went to die. And he's got poems on the side. It's the most amazing place. So I got put down there. But my dad, who I'd hated all my life, because I blamed him for everything, as we do. It was never me. It was always my dad's fault. He blamed me for this. He was an alcoholic when I was a kid. He would beat my mum up, and I would take my mum to hospital, and all of this stuff as I was growing up, the trauma of my childhood. I blamed him for that all his life. And I hadn't seen him for years, and then suddenly I was down there on tag with my mum and dad at 41, thinking, well, how did I get here? And I realised that my dad wasn't the problem. My dad was 30 years sober, and I never ever knew until that moment. Wow. And what happened was I got to know my dad on such a great and amazing level. He saw me win my court case, obviously. He saw me stay clean, and then he died in front of me. And I truly believe that I was meant to go through the worst, darkest place of my life to get that place of such extreme light. And it really was. It was life-changing.
Amazing.
And I just think that what I went through at that point was that journey of, okay, this is where, this is where I need to be. And my dad passed away, had a heart attack in front of us and died. And just to be blessed to have had that year with him, in that sense. That would never have happened.
No.
Yeah.
41-year-old man,
Yeah.
a gay man in his prime.
Yeah.
You know,
Tagged up.
down in Dungeness, it would never have happened. And you know, and I'm really blessed that happened. Which is really weird saying it because, you know...
No, but I think if you actually...
I've
just kind of thought of this before, exactly what you said, but actually, if you... This whole thing of, I wish this didn't happen this time, but actually, if you puzzle it all together and you take out a bit, so
that's it,
the worst bit, okay,
Yeah.
you get accused of something, you take that out, all of this wouldn't have happened,
No.
and then you wouldn't have had all the good experiences and the ones that have changed you. So we need to keep it all, because you take one bit away, everything changes.
Yeah, of course. And it's, you know, for me, it's like, you know, that's higher power stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, my job as a DJ is to make people dance, is not to make people eat.
Yeah.
So for me, DJing right now is out of the question. Because I'm not DJing in bars where people are eating.
Yeah.
That's not my job, to watch someone cut up food.
Yeah.
My job is to give people energy to dance, and that's how I thrive. I thrive off their energy.
Yeah.
You know, that's my job. And so right now, my job's been taken away from me. But what has happened out of it, it's given me time to start working on my own program on YouTube, the Recovery.
Yeah.
It's given me time to do so many other things that I wouldn't have had the time to do, like come and sit here with you two in Ibiza.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like there's been so many magical things that have come out of it because I've taken time out.
Yeah.
Claire and I, after this, you've been one of the most approachable, open, engaged people. And I think, going on what you said, I don't know that either of us expected that. And you've just shown how you are just completely like, I want to help, I want to be involved, I want to talk. You're human and you haven't got the ego that maybe some people do think you have.
I know how hard it is to ask for help.
Yeah.
I know how hard it is to write that text of saying, hey, I've just watched your thing and I really like the fact that I relate to it and I've got a problem.
Yeah.
Can you help me? That is the hardest thing to do for anyone to write.
Yeah.
You know, literally, I don't want to be with you anymore. Goodbye. Easy.
Yeah.
You know, I hate you. Easy.
Yeah.
But to actually reach out and say, I fucked up. I'm an addict. Can you help me? Someone has taken that courage to send me that message. I take the time to respond to every one of them. Every one of them.
You've been in the fire. You sit in the fire, and you go back and get people out.
Well, we only keep what we have by giving it away.
It's amazing.
You know, it's a really important thing that, as I say, I had the love of one person that kept me alive, and I think it's really important to show anybody that is in despair that there is a different way, and if I can help them or point them in that direction, I do.
It's that thing you said today. Today, this is what I'm going to choose, and also that thing of we do have a choice, and if you can get to that point where you see that.
Yeah.
And it is about making that choice. You know what I mean? And as I said before, you know, hope turns into belief, and when we get belief, we're capable of doing anything in a positive manner.
Yeah.
You know, it's true.
You've been amazing.
Tony, thank you.
Want to hold
Thank
my
you so
lobster?
much.
Let me hold your lobster.
Get the lobster in. Tony, thank you, my friend.